This is technically actually where I started my first playthrough, or my first load in for this playthrough. I had no idea where I had left off this place. I just recently rediscovered it, so I was like, holy crap, this is where I'm gonna make a mine. I started out here, quick story, worked my way to this trader because that's your last mission is to find the trader. And then I moved my way south, not knowing quite where the bottom of the map was or where the top was or any of that, and found the army from the actual trader. So ideally, it was quick for me to find. Long story short, made my way north to 00. On the way there, I passed this first town or city, whatever. Made myself a nice little spot right there and survived, matter of fact, 2 horde nights from there to here. And there's a lot of shops here. There's a lot of, crack-a-books. There's a couple Shamways. There's a few shotgun messiahs in there. There's a couple parking garages for, actually 3 parking garages. There's just a lot of loot. There's a couple hotels here, or I guess apartment complexes, if you will. Anyway, you can see how I kind of ventured away, following the main roads, and kind of like, found a few other places. Kept going to 000. That's 000. I always mark it with the city icon. And I decided to build a house on the outskirts of this town. Little did I know, it was actually going to show up on the visible map as a structure. We'll check that out some other time. But I need a ton of metal to upgrade it to reinforce my horde base from concrete to steel to reinforced steel. So I decided to build a mine shaft, and that's where I am here. I started going to the woods, which is just right over here. As you can see, I found a cave. That's for Nitra, and that's a whole nother story. I fell into that. I'll tell you that some other time. And then I have the wasteland over here for more metal. So I'm in a pretty relatively good spot to start working on a mine shaft. Every time I find seeds, I bring them back here, plant them around me to make my trip shorter and shorter and shorter for wood. This is the original 1, 2, 3 wood blocks that I started the game with. Sleeping bag, campfire was actually where the forge was, and that was it. The bedroll was laying that way, then the campfire, 3 pieces of wood, everything in sync, right? So I decided when I found it, well, hell, I was going to build my mine shaft here. Got my chainsaw and my auger. Though I've not used the auger, been using the crap out of the chainsaw, as you can see, to go get wood. I just want you to understand what you're about to see is almost a week's worth of time in the game to get where I've gotten. Originally, the ladder was going to go down this way, and then my tunnel was going to go this way. But to a minor calculation error, when I went down, my ladder went this way, so my shaft goes that way. Which, as you can see, points towards the forest. Not bad, but it's not where I wanted to be neither, right? I wanted to be in the desert, deep. Well, as you can see, I'm building downhill. Another dumb move of mine, because I'm not getting any deeper, technically, because I'm following the crest of the hill. All in due good time, but again, I'm going this way, right? And I'm going to pitch and turn down that way. You'll see what I mean by that in a minute. Gonna go ahead and go down. All of this was built. I first dug a hole, just a straight down hole, 1 by 1, so it looked like a diamond. When I got to the bottom of this, that was smart, I widened it out, and then built this wood floor, and then walled it in. I was debating on how I was going to take it from there, but in the meantime I needed lighting, and then I walled it all the way up to the top. That is when I initially realized, at that point, my fatal mistake, that I should have been going that way. Or maybe it was that way. Yes, I wanted to go that way. But we are where we are, and we deal with it. Instead, I've built this beautiful, beautiful mine shaft. This is the combination of 15 real hours and I think 6 in-game days from the time I started building this. And as you can see, there's the end right there. I'm still nowhere more near the nowhere farther away from the entrance of the mine shaft than I am than when I started this, because this is very slow work. There is a lot of wood blocks here. Like I said in my message, probably roughly around 1,000 blocks. Dang it. These lights are because I noticed that even though I had this area lit with the torches, it was still hard to see properly. As you can see now, it lights up the walls here. So now if you look back, this is a properly lit mine shaft. I don't need my headlamps or nothing. Behind each one of these, if I could break, so there's a corner wall right there. So you can see if I now break it down. You don't want to upgrade them but more than once, because that'll happen. They'll turn into that siding. But then you can upgrade the metal and it'll look good again. But until you're ready for that, then there's a corner piece here. So what I do is I star it, so when I hit the star, there's nothing else on my menu but that, so I can just quickly reference what I need. These are the building blocks: the wood frame, wood full corner, inner corner, frame ramp, that's only for the roof, wood wedges, that's for the floors going downwards, and then the wedge tips, obviously, to go to the wedge. That is it. These are the blocks that I use to build this mine shaft. And that is it. So once I go out 3, 1, 2, 3. In the middle, I make the fireplace, torch, sconce, whatever, inlet of the wall. I noticed originally that this wasn't producing enough light the way I had built it here. And by the way, this is 9, or I think 12, 12 blocks in a square behind this wall. And so it's connected, framed in behind this right here. So no matter what, even if these get punched out, this still exists. So this way, as you can see, so that's all the way back there, all the way up there, all the way down here to the floor, or just right above the floor, connected here. So that way, if there's any problems, zombies do make their way down here. I'm not worried that if they attack this wall or hit the wall or I shoot the wall, it's going to collapse and this whole entire thing is going to collapse on top of me. Technically, this is all a waste of time, because once you get down this deep in the ground and you dig out a hole this big, it's not going to collapse on you. I will never collapse down on me, because there's nothing for anything to collapse down. I'm deep enough at this point. This is just for visual effects, I guess, at this point, and structural integrity. And it's easy. 1, 2, 3. And then you keep punching it out inside the frame. Boom. That's a 3 by, whatever that is, like 5 or whatever. 3, 4, 5, yeah, 3 by 5 tall. But I'm going to go down one more to get to the level of the wood. So theoretically, I could just add wood blocks there, and then wood blocks up there, and then just connect. But as you can see, what I'm going to do instead, knock that out. I'm just exposing that block so I have something to connect to, because as you can see, I can't connect there, but I can connect there. Can't connect there, but I can connect there. Boom, right? And then once in the middle, once on either side, and that'll give you a triangular connection. You won't be able to connect to that block, but as you can see, like I was saying, these walls are thick and they go up. You can see there's more wood above that one. There's a whole nother block system above that, and that is for reinforcements, just in case. So what I do is I'll go ahead and pop that out. I'll pop that out. Now you have access to an entire frame. So there will be wall parts hidden that you won't visually see, that will seem like a waste of material, but trust me, it's for integrity. Go ahead and knock those in. Obviously I'm using the wrench. It's much faster than the wood, than the handle or hammer. Do the same thing down here. Then boom, boom. Boom, right? Now you see, now the last thing I gotta do is add the wedges. Oh. Wedge 1, wedge 2. Now, technically, I have the ability, I can build this now. I can knock out those two, and then, like I said, the middle piece, then you knock out those two, right? And that's where I start making another one of these. That's a whole nother process. But now, my next step would be to drop down one floor. So that when I dig the next section out, and you can see this is flush, like flat, flush. Now when I dig the next section down, I will do the same thing. I'll just knock out the floor, drop in my wedge pieces, then the wedge tips. So that's this piece, and that's this piece, right? If you were to do this, use this piece on that process, the steepness would not, it'd look real sharp. It's much, much steeper than the wedge. So if you're going to use like a mini bike like I intend to down here, to get up and down this area, you're going to be ramping, like wow, wow, you know, just ramping, and you have a chance at that point to really start damaging your mini bike or start damaging your actual mine shaft. This part right here, how I make this little cut in, this would be the inner frame corner, and then the wedge corner. So the wedge piece, oh, I passed it, right there. You want that up in there. It'll tuck flush with the side of the wedge. And then for the bottom of it is where you attach this at that angle. And that'll be that piece right there. And then from there, you've dropped it down now one by one. And then you, just like an arc, how you would drop down a level. And then you would just start adding your wedge pieces again going down. So this is all dropped down. So the number of stairs is how many I've dropped down since I built the original tunnel going down. So however many ladders that is, ladder frames, that is, it's like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. technically 12, but we're going to go with 11. Then 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm 19 blocks down in the ground at this point. But again, there's a hill above me. So I'm almost certain that I'm not... The hill kind of like stops and levels out right about here, I believe. By the way, it's highly important that you pay attention to where this and this block are going when well, any blocks when you're building it. If you're going to make it symmetrical and uniform, I use the wedge piece to mark where I'm going to use my last wedge or the last ramp piece to the corner piece. That's my mark indicators. The wedge to the wedge tip in between there is where I'm going to do that piece. Otherwise, you'll get ahead of yourself, and then the walls will start becoming like this piece will be right here. And then they'll bleed together, and you won't have that one straight column wall right there. Again, aesthetics. I've made that mistake. I think I found it like right here, so I had to back up all my pieces by one. That added for extra wood spaces, but it was fine. Like I said, I can show you in more detail later, but it is day 35. It is 0900, and I do have to be prepared for a Horde Night tonight. Hopefully this helps on mining shafts and just a general idea.